You know, I kind of find it ironic that there's more merch out there of Kiryu than there is of this specific version of Godzilla. You know, the literal main antagonist, the one who's the face of the franchise. I'm getting ahead of myself. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're back with a brand new MonsterArts review. Well, not a brand new, a 2025 HD remaster review. Today we're taking a look at the MonsterArts 2002 Godzilla from Godzilla Against MechaGodzilla. If you're new to the channel or have been a long-time viewer, thank you so much for your viewership. But for you returning viewers, you might be wondering, why are you taking a look at this figure again? Didn't you already do a review of this? Why, yes, I did. On a much less quality phone. See, I decided, you know, if I'm gonna leave that video up, that might as well just be like, it might as well just not be that formal, because a lot of the shots in that older video were just like, it was bad, okay? It was shot on a phone that had no lens because my lens fell off and I had to like actually like, the little camera thing, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I don't really know the anatomy of a phone that well, but basically this little like lens part fell off and yeah, pretty much ruined the focus, ruined the quality, and that's why some of my videos look like that. But we're taking an updated look at this guy in Q3 of 2025, which is from July to September, if you're wondering. Anyway, so with that said, I'm excited to return to this guy because admittedly he is one of my favorites, but we're going to point out his faults too. So let's take a look at the SH MonsterArts Godzilla 2002. So first things first is we're going to talk about accessories, which unfortunately this is an instance where MonsterArts does not package an accessory with Godzilla. And I mean strictly the standard first edition run of the figure. Maybe a future version of this guy, like, I don't know, let's say in like a few years time, Godzilla 2002 Heat Ray version might come with one, but knowing MonsterArts these days, they're just gonna color the dorsal plates blue, add a little tiny speckle of blue inside the mouth, and call that Heat Ray, even though that would be a Heat Ray charge up, not Heat Ray. But if you do own other MonsterArts figures, or Godzilla figures for that matter, he can theoretically use the beam effect, which this is the beam effect that comes with the MonsterArts 2019 Godzilla, the only Godzilla I have that comes with a beam effect. And again, I'm not going to go over the beam right now, but basically, if you can, you just literally plop it in the mouth like that, and yeah, he's firing. Now, granted, this is technically, so to speak, the wrong design for the Godzilla, because the Millennium Godzillas, and I'm talking about all of them, so everything from 1999 to 2004, were a lot more focused and a lot more beam-like. The MonsterVerse Godzilla was a lot more flamethrower and plasma-like. So obviously there's a bit of like differences there, but I really do feel like they could have included a beam with this guy. You know, because like what? Of all the Millennium Godzillas, trying to think here, none of them have actually come with a beam effect. This guy hasn't. None of the 2001 variants have. None of the 2000 variants, and that's including the upcoming megalon Goji. The 2004 didn't come with one. Like, MonsterArts, come on, package something with your Millennium Godzillas. Not an extra head, not an extra hand, an actual beam effect, the thing that Godzilla does in every movie. Please. But alas, unfortunately, yes, that is something he doesn't come with. He doesn't come with anything aside from the actual figure, which I guess we might as well talk about the figure. So first we're going to start with the sculpt and paint of the head. So for the actual head, it actually looks very nice. I do apologize if you guys keep hearing noises in the background. That's my cat going like completely nuts, so focus on me and the voice. I know you guys love your silly cat videos, but trust me, there's nothing silly about this when he's literally trampling the place. Anyway, so for the head, the eyes here are actually going to be very well done. We actually have like two shades of yellow, like one for the actual like iris and one for the actual like eyeball. And then we have a bit of black too, which I think is like part of the decals here. Um, as well as here, where the eye here looks more worried than anything, because like he looks like, oh god, he's got a knife, like that sort of thing. And that's honestly going to be a bit of a gripe of mine, is that when you look at him from the front, he looks derpy as hell. Like both of the eyes have like different expressions, which like I guess theoretically that's not a bad thing when you're posing him like from the side. So that kind of adds like a bit of like variety to the figure theoretically. But if you're gonna give him different facial expressions, why not do different face sculpts? Because Godzilla 2002 does emote. He actually emotes probably more than some of the other Godzillas, to be honest. But like, I don't know. I don't really think this was the way to do it if this was intentional. But as per the other details for like the scales and everything, they're really well defined. Like especially on the snout. Like that actually looks really nice. We have all the different like spikes here at the top that lead down to the dorsal plates, the scales of which here to the sides look very nice, especially like the little itty bitty ears that Godzilla 2002 has. Those look really nice, especially like the nostrils. And the nostrils aren't really that well defined, but that's to be expected. So here, taking a look at the mouth. I'll admit that the mouth, like as far as up here, like let's close back up the jaw here. I'm not necessarily a fan of this. I guess this is supposed to be him like a bit snarling a little bit, because some of the Millennium Godzillas did have a tendency to snarl, mainly the 2001. But I guess he would apply to Kiryu-Goji. I don't know, it's been a while since I watched Against MechaGodzilla, but this, I don't know. I feel like too much of the gums is showing, and like the teeth at the front are just way too small, at least for my liking. I do like the detail work in the paint. That actually looks really nice. But for the actual gum inside the mouth details, I do like they get a bit of like a red wash here. Looks very nice. Same with the tongue here. That looks really well done, and especially like the teeth, like kind of going down. I do like that a lot. And they also got like that very like weird shaped jawline Godzilla 2002 is known for having. So they nailed that part. And I also do like the extra detailing on the tongue and the gums on the sides. That looks nice too. And especially like the segment where the mouth connects to the jaw, sorry, the head. That almost looks like an actual throat hole. So intentional or not intentional, props to MonsterArts for keeping that. But yeah, I do also like the way it looks when it closes the mouth, minus like the oversaturation of teeth there. Moving down to the neck, which here for the neck we have like the two segments down here which are a bit spiky, and then we have the front here which has all the like little rigid details, you know, all that good stuff. For the sides here we have a lot of the nice more intricate details beyond like the neck spikes there. Looks very nice and nice flush with the body, as you can see here. Mine's got like a bit of like a green wash here. I don't know the significance of that, if that's like an extra paint job or that's like part of the plastic, because you can kind of see here this part of the figure doesn't have it, but then it starts right there. It's very subtle, but my camera's just picking that up enough. See, if I tried doing that with my LG, that would have never picked up, but it definitely seems like the figure has some form of like green accent to it, which if green was the color for this Godzilla, not necessarily right, because I mean you have to jump back like 2 movies to get that particular right, but that actually looked cool. A green Godzilla with white dorsal plates, that'd be beautiful. Anyway, so back to the detail work. As you can see, a lot of nice bump crevices and everything. Looks very neat. For the chest here, lots of nice like oval and like jagged ridge not dorsals, like scales and everything transforming from the neck. For the arms here, not too much going on here, more or less the same kind of like wavy details. Very much a lot going on here, very wavy, and I do like the bumpy nature of them. For the claws, which let's hopefully rotate this and not pop off. The claws here aren't necessary. I mean, you got a bit of like gradations with it, but it's mostly just confined to one color, kind of like a bone color. I mean, of course, that's what they are. Oddly enough, some of them actually have like a brown wash. Like this one, like that thumb has like brown on it. while the others realistically don't, which, like, I don't know why they paint that one but not the others. I mean, kind of get like a bit of a brown hue, a little bit. Not too much, but again, I kind of would have liked a bit more like a wash, like a transition between them. Not too bad. Let's talk about the dorsal plates. Beautiful. Flat out beautiful. I love the look of them. It also is worth noting that up here it kind of begins like the white spray and then leads into the dorsal plates, which, just look at them, especially like this top one. That is beautiful. I love the wash here. I love the transition from like the charcoal gray to like the frosted white tips and then the white washing over top of it. It looks so beautiful. Let's get like an opposite end of it. Like, look at that. The dry brushing as well elevates it more on this side and that side. It's all right. But if I did have one thing to kind of like mention, it's that the material used here is not flexible at all. It's very much rigid, so anything that happens to the figure might happen to the dorsal plates, if not a little more. So be careful, because these are pretty damn pointy. So just to mention. Anyway, let's go to the thighs. Never thought I'd say that. The thighs here, again, you kind of can see like a bit of like the green, bluish accents, more or less what Godzilla has, as well as like the crotch V cut here. More or less the same detail work. Nice. Just look at that. Just give you some more of that crisp detail. All the way, we can kind of see the folds and what would have been the suit, so that looks nice. Kneecap here looks a little bit puffy, which is to be expected. I do like that. Big calves, and this is more of like a complaint with the actual design, but I think, honestly, this guy's feet are more like undersized. Because I don't know, it just looks a little flat for me. To really realistically be supporting such a massive body. But you do get a very nice amount of detail work. Like, you can clearly see the frosted, not frosted, but little tips of the feet here, and you get some brown paint, which is, again, something I wanted, like a transition. I like that. Something I wanted on this. Why'd you guys fail me? But of course these ones pick up the slack. So you got the 3 front toes and then the side back-ish 4th toe. Little detail at the bottom, copyright Toho. I'll let you read that if you want. Nothing really going on there. And of course for the tail, which is actually going to be very elegant because it is curved a little bit. But of course you get all like the dorsal plates painted all the way to the tip of the tail, which is shocking. And you get all that nice, hold on, there we go. All that nice intricate little detail going up to the final look of the figure too. Just look at that. All right, let's get one more angle of the tail here. As you can see. So let's go one last look this way. From the front, from up top, bird's eye view, nice little serrated tip, not really serrated, but nice side, nice, and we're at the back. So, for the overall sculpt and paint, I would say that they did a really nice job overall with the sculpt. I really have nothing to complain about the sculpted details. It's mainly the paint. I feel like the paint could have been tightened up a little bit more on things like the mouth, maybe the eye expression, so I guess I do have a complaint with the sculpt, but that's like one thing. The eyes definitely could have been fixed a little bit better, and I think the claw paint should have been a little bit more, like, having a bit more gradation with it, like a gradient. But that said, everything else looks really nice, and I do like the way it looks. Maybe a bit of a dry brush like the NECA 2003 had, but before this becomes a NECA 2003 versus MonsterArts 2002 comparison again, I like this on its own. Overall, I'm going to rate the sculpt and paint at 8.5 out of 10. Very, very well done. And now for the articulation. It's not a MonsterArts figure without some movement. So let's talk about it. The tongue does not move on this guy. Just confirm that. Nope, it's static in place. Well, is it? Oh, okay. Forgive me. I forgot the tongue couldn't move. It's like so engraved into the actual figure that sometimes I forget certain aspects of it. I don't know. I don't pull this guy off the shelf on a day-to-day basis, but you do get a very... hand just popped off. Well, that blows the surprises. The jaw can open up about this far, which is pretty damn far, and close up about that far. So, and it's also on a ball joint, so you can kind of get crooked. Something I do have to mention is that the jaw, because it can go kind of crooked, is that it never opens straight open. Sorry, straight. I don't know. It never opens just straight down. Sometimes it can get at an angle, so you have to readjust things, and it is kind of a pain in the butt too. So you really have to get that sweet spot with the jaw. It's not just the basic hinge. So depending on how you have it posed, it could look weird depending on the jaw situation. Because here it looks fine, right? But if I do this, there you go, slack jawed. So just keep that pie hole shut. So back to the articulation here. The head can articulate, is on a ball joint, so you can go a little bit side, up and down. And of course here you get a fair amount of articulation here at the midsection of the neck, which can go up and down. And a third segment down here, which doesn't give you a whole lot, but does give you a little bit up and down, almost like a pulley system here. So the three joints together, you can look up about that far and down about this far, to the left and to the right. Not really so much rotation. I mean, you can get a bit of a rotation, but it's not that by that much. For the shoulders, let's actually pull the camera back here. There we go. For the shoulders, you can go out. Oh, well, that's a bit of a problem. Yeah, I'm gonna mention that the figure's arms have a huge tendency to pop off on my copy, but effectively, let's just go with this one. You go out and in, and it can rotate forward and back. Now, because it wants to be shown, the bicep is not technically, so to speak, a joint. It is a free floating piece that covers a much larger joint. And you can see that ball socket there, and you can see the ball peg here. I don't know why my upper elbow to bicep just keeps popping off every time I mess with this thing, but it does. But yes, you can get a fair amount of movement when it's working with you, not against you, and can rotate like that. Ball joint, well, technically double ball joints here and here, but effectively you're just going to primarily get a swivel, not so much anything out of the other wrist. And I refuse to touch that one either. For the ab crunch, you can go down about this far without pushing it too much, upwards about that far. So if you don't like the gap, guess what? There you go, problem solved. And you can get a fair rotation, not too much. Normally the dorsal plates would be a problem in this instance, but it's more just the way that the sculpt is actually engineered. For the legs, which we can go way out to the side, come back in a little bit, can kick forward and back, not all the way around, but still decently. Bend at the knee, swivel at the knee, calf joint and a foot joint, which we can go pretty much out to the side, bend in and out like that. And I haven't done the exact count here, but there's a series of ball joints that go all the way up to this part of the tail, which is going to be all one piece, and it's going to be sculpted at a downward angle. So no matter how you have it posed, the tip is always going to be pointing this way. But you can get it all the way curled like this if you want to. Pointing up if you want to. Go to the sides. And overall just have a very expressive tail. So for the articulation, I feel like when it works with you, it really works with you. When it works against you, it really freaking works against you. There's a lot. Now, this isn't like a figure that, oh, well, I'm just going to have it posed and there you go. This is a figure you really have to have a lot of patience and tolerance with, because you don't like the idea of something constantly popping out on you, or like joints being misaligned and everything. Because keep in mind, the more joints a figure has, the more it's going to have to be aligned, and then think you have to twist this, and then you're going to have to realign that. Oh, that doesn't look good, so you have to readjust it that way, and then, oh, that doesn't look good. There's a lot of like trial and error with these more highly articulated figures, which I feel like that's ultimately what my base issue with MonsterArts was, but as I grew older, I kind of like grew more tolerance of that. Admittedly, I do think things like arms like that, I barely put any like twist effort, because like, look, I'm going to pop it on. It's on. I'm going to lightly rotate it. See? So obviously MonsterArts joints need to kind of like fix up their tolerance, but when you really want to work with it and it works with you, you can get some really cool poses out of this guy. So for articulation, aside from the intolerance of some things, I realistically have almost like no complaints with it. I like the movement on this guy. I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10 for the actual engineering on this thing, because it is just so well done. So for some size comparison and reference, here he is compared to the MonsterArts 2021 Godzilla vs. Kong figure, and the NECA 1995 Burning Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Destroyer. And you can kind of see clearly that he's just your basic run-of-the-mill, hyper-articulated 6-inch Godzilla figure, which, like, hey, who doesn't want that? That's basically like the average scale that almost every company, aside from high-end Super 7, really kind of lean more towards, which, again, it's nice to at least have several Godzillas that are within the same scale as each other. And here he is compared next to the SH MonsterArts GMK Godzilla from 2001, the previous incarnation, and the previously mentioned, because of his beam effect, the MonsterArts 2019 Godzilla from Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I also bought alongside this guy. And finally, here he is compared next to his co-stars, well, of the Kiryu saga, I should probably clarify, with the NECA 2003 Tokyo SOS Godzilla, the closest thing NECA ever made to a 2002 Godzilla. Just remove the scar and you basically have it. And the Kiryu Movie Monster Series bootleg, which I specifically actually bought to go with this Godzilla, simply because I also didn't really have a 6-inch Kiryu. I had that little 3.5-inch Shogoken Godzilla, well, MechaGodzilla. But I mean, he's a little bit shorter, but realistically, you can pretty much like fudge the scale and have him like go head to head. See, like, this looks cool. Not necessarily with him because he's too large. And so overall, let's turn this on because I don't want to forget it again. This guy is amazing. I think overall, he does have his fair share of faults. For example, I think the some of the paint could have been tightened up a little bit more. Some parts he could have used a little bit more. And the articulation does have a bit of an intolerance among times. But overall speaking, the sculpt is just beautiful. I love the expressiveness with the movement. And the paint, where there is like really damn good paint, it's really damn good paint. That said, would I recommend this guy in 2025? Your mileage will vary. I got a steal on this guy with the paired with a used, well, I mean, this guy was used, but also a used MonsterArts 2019 Godzilla, slightly warped, but I did fix it, and also came with his beam effect. So, if I had to give like a good recommendation for like a price, if you can find this guy mint in box for just $150, I would say. That seems fair because I think a few years back he was reissued. I don't remember specifically when, off heart, but I do remember at some point in time he was reissued, and so that does kind of make like an extra batch of these guys out there somewhere in the wild. So you're bound to come across one. That, or I would just recommend waiting for the Haya when it drops in the year 2023. So 2023, we're 2033. There you go. Apparently Haya is time traveling now. So, yeah. So, with that said, I'm going to rate this guy a final score of 9 out of 10. A very beautiful piece, in my personal opinion. Has faults, yes, but I think it's well done. Anyways, with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys would like to subscribe to the channel, we're almost to 10 years, so yeah, we're right there. So join along for the ride as we celebrate 10 years of Matthew T.O.S.G. See you guys next time. Peace out, everyone.